اتكلمنا عن مايس اوف كونتراست اسوشيتد نفروباثي. بليز دكتور عبد الرحمن.
Assalamu alaikum, and sorry for being late for my talk. I would like you to see this talk as a Friday post-khutbah talk rather than a scientific talk. I'm preaching something that is not new, that is well established, yet we still don't practice it. The title is The Myth and Reality about what's called contrast-induced nephropathy. This, as I said, is a topic that has been established. Unlike my dear colleague who is talking about cutting-edge technology, I am here to talk to my colleagues and professors about something that has been established over 12 years ago, yet no one is accepting it. I am here to inform those who would benefit from being informed. Dr. Khalid Abdelrahman requested me to give this talk, even though I gave it elsewhere. This is a talk of desperation to remind of you those who already know about it, and also to inform those who do not know. What is the clinical question? We always get this call from our residents, our colleagues, usually from the radiology department, the emergency department, or the ward. Your patient requires a CT abdomen with IV contrast to diagnose a perforated viscous or a bleeding in our case. But the creatinine is over 1. It's 120, it's 180. Therefore, we will do no study, or we will do a non-contrast study, and then 6 hours later you get a suboptimal report for the suboptimal study that was requested. The question to you, are you happy to bypass the system and give the contrast anyway or not? That's the clinical question. So what is contrast-induced nephropathy? It used to be defined as a transient increase in the creatinine level, 0.5 milligram per DL, within 24 to 48 hours of receiving IV contrast. What's the incidence is very variable, reported up to 25%. What is the mechanism of this observed increase in creatinine? The theories went that we have nitric oxide effect of the contrast on the renal artery, causing vasoconstriction, and direct toxicity of the contrast, direct nephrotoxicity. These were suggested mechanism. Khalas, what's the problem? Why am I here? The cause link was never established. The name of contrast-induced nephropathy came from arterial studies, usually in the 80s and 90s, cardiologists doing studies with huge dose of iodinated contrast, not the one we are using now. And that is suprarenal with fiddling with the wire in the aorta and significant embolization phenomena. When we took it to the lab, we injected neat contrast in the renal artery of the rats, and that showed nephrotoxicity in the lab. So we took the study. We have no control here. This is not a control study. So we took that to real life. And every time a retrospective study was done, showed that the non-contrast arm actually do better life-wise and renal morbidity, obviously due to the selection bias, because they are the ones with contrast are doing better. So contrast have a protective effect of the kidney, if you believe that. But it is a selection bias. When the patient had high risk, they tend not to receive contrast, and that's why they do worse. So this is the research question. We need to compare the incidence of acute kidney injury, transient acute kidney injury, between two arms. Arm that has received IV contrast for CT and arm that has not. So the study that I am presenting here comes from Mayo Clinic. As my senior colleague knows, Mayo Clinic abuse and over-investigate their patients to the degree that the reference number of the labs come from Mayo Clinic Hospital in Rochester. So they started with 1 million scan. people with no serum creatinine before and after, people who have dialysis, people who received coronary catheter or multiple CT within 14 days were excluded. That leaves us with a huge number of 157,000 patients. They were divided into two arms, contrast CT scan and unenhanced CT scan. So what is the challenge? It's a retrospective study. Sure, prospectively collected data, but retrospective study nevertheless. The advantage, it's an acute kidney injury. So you can use the patient and then reuse them again after 14 days. They define contrast-induced nephropathy, as I said, as a transient increase above 0.5 milligram per DL. Here comes the advantage of this study, the propensity score analysis. This is an analysis to adjust for selection and observation bias. For my colleagues who are not familiar, just like me, with statistics, you adjust the numbers based on risk factors and confounding factors. You adjust them case to case or stratify them into mild, moderate, and high-risk groups and review and compare apple to apple and orange to orange. What's the limitation of this technique? This technique basically mimics randomization. The limitation of the technique, it misses patients in the extreme edges of the diagram. The other limitation, to achieve that, you need 10 times, to get a powerful study, you need 10 times the number of cases, which we have here. So the demographics, what is the risk of so-called contrast-induced nephropathy, chronic renal failure, chronic heart failure, diabetes, all were taken as comorbidities. Serum creatinine before and after. Then they did the stratification. And they did one-to-one matching. And they did weighting by odds. These are all the three available techniques that you can do propensity score analysis with, and I will not dive into the details of them. Most of the audience know them better than me. We also have something called counterfactual causal effect analysis, which is a theoretical. It's an amazing concept. It's an AI concept, Dr. Khaled. It's an amazing concept where person could be their own, act as their own control. Because this is a transient study with a transient outcome, which is contrast-induced nephropathy. We looked at patients who have come to the hospital receiving contrast-enhanced CT at one time, and then 6 months or more later receive a non-contrast CT and use them as their own control. This is rather theoretical dream of statisticians, but it was possible here for over than 4,000 patients. So as I said, here are some of the results, the populations. And as usual, what we found in risk stratification, the medium group had a higher incidence of acute kidney injury in the non-contrast group, like all the other observational studies before. But after going for propensity score correction, you can see just by your eyes that there is no difference in all risk factors group between the two. And same happened on the right-hand side. The counterfactual method showed identical effect. So basically, no established cause analysis. I will move forward to save your time and go straight to what they came up with. Those people came up with a very powerful message, and they're not the first to come up with it. There was a gush of papers and studies that followed the famous Mayo Clinic paper that I just presented. I'm here presenting a paper from 2012, 12 years old. Yet most of the audience are still struggling with this problem in their day-to-day practice. Even yesterday, my colleague mentioned a story where delayed scan resulted in a death of a patient. Bleeding kills, contrast doesn't. So the Mayo Clinic group came on their website and said, this is a myth. There is nothing that is called contrast-induced nephropathy. We have established that there is no cause relationship. Eventually, last year, the American College of Radiology combined statement with the Nephrology Association came of a very strong statement that is used in guidelines everywhere in the world. People who have GFR above 30, you should not even think about contrast-induced acute kidney injury. The name of it is not contrast-induced anymore. It's called contrast-associated acute kidney injury because we still have not established the relation. Whether there was a relation, and now in light of the new contrast material that we use is different or not, we don't know. So, if I can have the last slide one more time. This is my last slide. So this is the study outcome that they came up with, and as I said, it is rather a coincidence rather than a causal relationship. That is their outcome. What is my outcome after years of reviewing this? What is my message to my junior colleagues and those of you who teach and mentor the surgical trainers? As we said, first of all, as doctors, do no harm. To withhold an essential study from a patient based on a myth that's called contrast-induced nephropathy that's been busted over 10 years ago is a malpractice. If the CT scan with IV contrast, and I'm talking about IV contrast, not arterial, not suprarenal, not renal artery manipulation. If the CT scan with IV contrast is indicated, we should not withhold it at all. And we all know that hydration seems to do nothing. It doesn't do harm, but it doesn't improve the outcome. If it was not indicated in the first place, ده موضوع تاني. I think most of you would agree with me that saving a kidney of a dead patient does not help. Thank you very much, and sorry for being late.